Okay, so welcome to the second day of interviews with some people who are on my debut album. Today we have Grant and Joy. So first of all, could you please introduce yourselves and who you are and what you do?
Well, my name is Grant McFarlane. I'm an accordion player from Paisley. And what do I do? I'm involved in a variety of different projects. I've played with Ron for a few years now as part of a group we perform with live music now, so performing music in lots of different settings, often for early years and younger audiences, but in public concerts and different things as well. So that's my main involvement with Ron, but I'm also involved with the Face in Paisley, and I play my own Cayley band and various other things.
So my name's Joy Dunlop. I am a Gaelic singer and a step dancer from a wee village in Connell in Argyll. And I am obviously a singer and a dancer, but also I do a lot of TV and radio presenting work. I did a wee bit of dancing on Ron's album. Ron also plays in my band, and I am also on the board of Feish Fashlik. So lots of music, lots of Gaelic, lots of TV stuff. Yeah.
So Joy is the famous person of the group. She's on the telly all the time.
That means nothing. It gets you no perks whatsoever.
So what's your first musical memory, or what first got you into playing music, if you can remember back? Who's going to go first?
Well, my foray into the accordion, as you can imagine, maybe wasn't as straightforward as some. My name got picked out a hat when I was in school.
Like Harry Potter style?
No, nothing quite as grand as that. Not like the sorting hat, but no, I do remember the head teacher coming in with a hat and picking my name out after, because they were offering free accordion lessons to the class, and so many people applied that it was names out of a hat. So that's how I got started. And my dad is musical, and he played in a band
Did he?
when he was younger. Yeah, just kind of in Paisley, going around care homes, and
What did Jim play?
What did he do?
Keyboard. He was in a band. He was in a band called the Maybes. Maybe you'll like us, maybe you won't. Was the tagline. Shout out to Jim.
Oh, thank Jim.
And yeah, and there was an accordion in the house, but I wasn't. It was really just pure luck and chance that got me into it in school, and I took a liking to it, and carried it on until now.
Yeah. What do you remember the first time being on stage, or first time performing something live, or in school, or in the house, or?
Well, my background was mainly in kind of classical and continental music, because we still play the odd bit when me and Ron are out. So so Ron knows about that. But my years were. All my practice led up to the UK Accordion Championships every year, so those are, apart from school performances and things, that we would get wheeled out for. Those were the kind of moments of the year where accordionists from all over the country.
I didn't realise there was such a thing as the UK Accordion Championship.
Yeah, and it still runs now, and we'd go down to then it was Scarborough every year to compete, and I was lucky enough to win some prizes at that now and then. So that was what I was always working towards, and those were the kind of big kind of opportunities to get out and play and earn some medals.
Nice. Do you have a trophy with your name on it?
I've got lots of trophies on.
Nice.
Are they still up in your house?
Yeah, they're in the loft somewhere.
And what about you, Joy?
So I always sang around the house. I was obsessed with Disney, or singing along with adverts or theme tunes, apparently. But I probably started doing music. We had peripatetic music teachers that went round all the small primary schools in Argyll, and then I remember doing an ear test that we all had to do, where it was to see, I guess, who was maybe more musically inclined. And because Connell was so wee, it was just a few people, maybe one. I say one every class, but there really only was me and one boy in my class. But certain people got to learn the fiddle, because we had a fiddle teacher coming along, and I was a really bad instrumentalist. I'm basically too lazy to play an instrument because I don't enjoy practicing.
Did you try the fiddle?
Yeah, I did fiddle all through primary, and and I did we had the
Should have got
Phasian
you to play
open.
fiddle on the album.
No, no. My fiddle, I remember one time appearing at my lesson and the actual chin rest had fallen off in the week, and I hadn't noticed because I hadn't opened the fiddle case from one lesson to the
wow.
other. So
Over.
that was my level of practice. But I did a lot of music through the Phage. I am bad on a very large range of instruments. I can play you the basics on most things, but really with singing, for me, that was the thing for me that I could just do. It was, I got the most enjoyment out of it, and I loved music and I loved the language, and I did a lot of dancing as well, sort of outside school.
Okay.
And when I was in secondary, I got a chance to do some step dancing, which kind of made sense for me. I loved sessions. I still have that thing with sessions that I really want to be able to join in with people making music, but again, I was just so terrible at all instruments that I never had that. But whereas I could dance along with music, and I could sing Persia B along with music.
Right.
And
So
that's
did you just like dance on tables?
on
and
tables,
stuff?
yes.
Yeah.
As a tall person, dancing on a table is very dangerous.
Great.
And more than one occasion, I have hit a ceiling fan. So I wouldn't advise that for anybody. But I guess it's definitely a community thing. You know, I grew up going to ceilidhs and dances, and everybody at home had a party piece. They sang or they played something. So it was very natural.
Yeah. You come from quite a musical family. Your brother's very musical. And
Yeah. I guess, well, my mum is very musical. Dad loves music, but he doesn't play anything. But mum sings, and she played the guitar, and she was always very supportive.
Yeah.
But yeah, my next brother down, he's a concert pianist. He is a doctor of music. So
Yes,
he
yeah.
practiced when he was
He
wee.
practiced a lot.
Yeah, he really did.
He
But I
really
think we had lots of performing opportunities really through the mod, through the Phage, through ceilidhs, like the Snort ceilidhs.
Yeah.
They were staples for us growing up. It was everybody in the area had the opportunity to perform, to sing, to dance, and you were terrible at first, but people were really supportive. You know, it was a way to grow and to learn how to talk to an audience and to learn how to perform in groups and things, and it was very, very natural, and we definitely felt very lucky that we were asked to do that.
Nice. Lovely. So who would you both say are your biggest musical influences that kind of influence your playing today? Other than me, obviously.
I was going to say Ron Jappy, of course. I mean, I guess coming from Argyll, Karen Matheson was, she was from the next village along. My mum was a teacher in Tynalt School, so she taught in, Capercaillie. She was definitely one for me growing up that it was kind of an odd one. In some ways, she seemed really famous, but in other ways, she came from the next village along.
Yeah.
So it was, I don't think we really understood. Like, we knew they were on the television, we knew they were in the charts, but again, they were from the next village along from us.
Yeah.
So it maybe didn't make sense, but I had lots of CDs growing up that I would listen to on repeat. So I guess my early stars were the ones that I had on like my Gaelic Women CDs. So you had the Karen Matheson or the Mary McInnes or Ishbel McCaskill and Lauren Gillis, all these female singers that were doing it. So I think for me early on, they were definitely my kind of heroes.
Nice.
In terms of the accordion, my playing's kind of changed over the years, and I guess when I was starting out, I didn't have the traditional influences around me. Like you maybe had Joy with the Phage and the mod and whatever else that wasn't so prevalent in Paisley, and now is starting to change with more opportunities through the Phage we're involved with, in different things. But back then, ceilidhs were really my my kind of mainstay, where both going to and learning a lot, but being a participant, but then starting to play with different dance bands. I used to travel through to our gym. My dad would take me through on a Tuesday night to play with Ian McPhail and his country dance band through in Edinburgh, and that was such a great learning experience for me to then start my own ceilidh band and do that sort of stuff. But kind of style-wise, I always loved Sandy Breakin when I was growing up and playing a lot of his tunes. And then when I went to uni and, again, just different influences started coming into play, where Ian Muir was my accordion tutor and again was able to really bring on my kind of dance band playing. Then I also learned with John Somerville when I was there and started hearing lots of different sounds and different bands. So that was a really exciting time when I was studying music, for those few years and started finding out more about traditional music and what else was out there.
Nice, lovely. Okay, so do you both have a really funny story about a gig, or what's the funniest thing that's happened on tour or on stage, or Yeah, just in a performance setting, there must be something.
Ooh, funny things.
Have you done something ridiculous whilst trying to dance? Or, I mean, you probably
I
have,
mean,
but I mean...
there's always the potential of disaster when you're dancing anyway, because it's no venue is ever set up for dancing. So sometimes you might do what I have, which I brought my own floor. And I do remember being a teenager, and my dad had made me a board to dance on. And we were in a church, because, you know, churches and village halls, they are your venues. And dancing, and all of a sudden thinking, it's like, I'm moving. And every time I stepped on the carpet, it was moving slightly forward, and all I could see was in front of me was the church stairs. And I thought, I'm getting really, really close to this, and I don't really know what I'm going to do. I've had loads of disasters. I mean, things have fallen down when I'm dancing. Parts of the stage have collapsed lots of times. I mean, you just
the weather situation in George Square last year.
Yeah, so that was probably my best, most recent one was when the opening of the mod last year, and my Alpha Eurovision choir asked to perform, and there's an end wee bit when I was doing some dancing, and it was absolutely pouring that night. And we'd had discussions even on what we were going to wear beforehand. We were in full gear, and then over the top of that, we had our waterproof jackets and ponchos. And right at the end, when I went to do a wee bit dancing, it was like the heavens open. I got drenched. I mean, there was water coming out my eyelashes. It was in my mouth. It was in my ears. I was absolutely soaked. But I mean, it went with the music.
Yeah,
so
show went on.
I think
and
that's
ever the professional. You didn't stop.
well, I mean,
you
that's
just
the
kept
thing. You
going.
get very used to this sort of thing. Is, you know, as long as you get to the end of it, you can laugh about it.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest important part you get out of that.
I don't know if I've got. I mean, there's lots of individual little stories, but I think generally discovering how bold older audiences can be. So, you know, if Ron and I will go to a care home and somebody doesn't want us to be there, you know, they'll make their voice heard, and you know, it's all you take these things as
Spaghetti
come.
story springs to mind, actually, as well.
Oh yeah, there was one lady. I was playing one of my continental, you know, Italian polkas, and she got up in the middle of it, and with an imaginary frying pan or bowl or
colander or something.
colander, I don't know what it was, but she starts shouting spaghetti and like tossing it up, and this was immediately funny, but 2.5 minutes later she was still doing it for the duration of the piece, and it was just brilliant. She was having such fun, you know, with it, and
she was loving life.
it was really, you know, brightening up everyone's moods in the room. Similarly, on the other end of the scale, again, if folk don't want you there, you know, when you hear these old ladies swearing, you know, and telling you to get out. I mean, you are in their living room essentially a lot of the time, so you just kind of have to see the light in that. And yeah, I've always found that quite funny.
So, what's the biggest gig either of you have done, would you say? You mentioned briefly there the Eurovision choir.
Yeah, I mean, that was huge. Getting to represent Scotland at the choral version of Eurovision that was broadcast live in 10 countries across Europe is massive. and I'm such a huge Eurovision fan. I'm a massive choir fan and Catholic fan, and being able to
ticking all the boxes.
Ticking all the boxes, be able to do, just having the opportunity to perform something your way, doing something totally different with a group of hand-picked singers who were lovely and supportive and fun and dedicated. It genuinely was one of those moments, and I'm not that, you know, I don't get necessarily so moved by these things, because it's very much like you go out, you do your job. And I remember coming off the stage, everybody had, because I was a conductor, I'd gone off last, and you had to go through this big corridor, and one of the men had waited on, who'd been doing a lot of the kind of behind the scenes stuff for me, and when I looked at, he was in tears, and he gave me a cuddle, and it just sent me off. I was bawling in the corridor, and when I'd gone out afterwards, there were 32 singers crying in front of me. And everybody's looking at us going, oh my goodness, did it go that badly for them? And I think everybody was just really moved by that feeling that you'd gone out, you'd represented your country, your language, your culture. And I mean, we genuinely didn't care if we won or not. It was that feeling of we did our absolute best, and everybody did as well as they could do. And that was really special, genuinely. And it's, you know, it's something that I hold really dear and feel so lucky to have been able to do.
Where was it? Where did you?
It was in
perform?
Gothenburg in Sweden,
Nice.
which was nice to get to go anywhere. So we met, 9 different choirs from all over the world, and folk were lovely. And there is something. I mean, I'm always telling people that you should join a choir, but there is something about singing with people. It's good for the soul, and you have a camaraderie. And then we definitely saw the whole competition like that. Yes, it's a competition, but we were just there to meet people and make new friends, and it was really, really positive. It was great.
Yeah. You joined a choir once, did you not, Grant?
I did. And it was great, actually. It was
This
just...
is not the attitude I want to see.
No, it was so good, and I was so
inspired,
sad that I
think,
had to
by
leave.
Michelle McManus or
It
something,
was. I
or
went to see
Lorraine
Michelle
Kelly or something?
McManus's
Michelle
Christmas concert, and the choir were having such a ball behind her. I was like, I want to be in that choir.
Yeah.
So I joined the choir. But just the rehearsals were a wee bit further away than, were manageable, and I was quite busy at the time. So I was so gutted I had to leave because I was loving it. Like, it was really good fun, but...
Choirs are the new rock and roll.
Yeah.
Heard it here first.
really get that.
Heard it here first.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
Only followed by dance bands.
Only followed by dance bands.
Yeah, rock and roll.
Biggest gig memory for
Biggest gig. I mean, in terms of size, I've been lucky to play some gigs, to a few thousand people now and then at, various festivals, and that's been amazing and incredible. But I think similar to what you were saying, Joy, about kind of being moved by it, one of my kind of most special gigs was my final recital at uni.
Oh.
So there was maybe like 50 people there.
Nice.
Max, but it was a lot of my family and my friends and folk that had turned up for me to kind of see, how those 4 years had brought my own playing on, and for me, I'd put months of work into it, and with all the different people that were involved in performing, there'd been such kind of energy and kind of passion put into that one performance that between that and actually the young traditional musician competition finals, being involved in those as well, they were just great opportunities to kind of showcase kind of my own playing, because all the playing that like me and you do, Ron, and lots of stuff me and you had done as well, it's all about the kind of group. So those individual moments when you get a chance to kind of work on your own stuff, that's always been really kind of nice for me, alongside all the other kind of fantastic stuff that I've done as well.
Yeah. And so, Grant, you went to the Olympics as well?
Yeah, so a band I played in called Cherry Grove, we got invited down to Olympic Park to perform on a stage that they were hosting bands from all across the UK with kind of up-and-coming artists, and it was brilliant. We got to go down and kind of experience the atmosphere and go to a few events.
Nice.
So, a really amazing thing to be part of.
I think when you listen to stories like this, it does make you sometimes just step back and go, we are so lucky to get to perform where we do. It is amazing where traditional music can take you, and particularly when you start doing it at home, in the community. Yeah. I definitely sometimes turn around and be like, I'm doing this as a job, whether it's throughout the world, whether it's at really big events, or even just these small special ones. Yeah. That we are really lucky to be able to do this and have these opportunities.
Yeah. Especially just now, I think, when we're not doing it, when you realise, even just being back in the room with you guys today, when you get to have those conversations, and music does that, when you're performing for an audience and folk are getting up out their seats to have a dance, or you can just see them kind of tapping their toes or whatever. It's amazing what it does for people and ourselves as well. And so between getting to travel and getting to kind of bring that joy to a situation is lovely.
It's really nice. Yeah.
We really noticed recently when it would have been the Royal National Mod and it wasn't, that actually what you missed was the companionship. You missed meeting folk that are like-minded, have the same love for music, who get together like, we'll play tunes, or we'll sing, or we'll dance, and that was something I think I hadn't realised at first, how important that side of it. Yes, it's lovely to get to stand up on a fancy stage, but actually there is nothing better than having like 3 Gaelic choirs crammed in the one place, having a big sing-along all together, and actually that's a really special side. It's the friendship that you get through all these different experiences.
Absolutely, yeah. So are there any kind of tour disaster stories or travel disaster stories that have happened? You've both kind of travelled far and wide, so there must be a few kind of disasters have happened somewhere.
I mean, I've definitely had the booking the flight on the accidental wrong day.
Oh,
Particularly on the way
dear.
home, if it's 2 flights and you go over past midnight. So I've basically booked the 2 flights on, say, the Friday, but actually the second one is technically early Saturday morning, because when I arrived, that wasn't good.
No, that's
that
not
was bad.
ideal, I
Yep.
would say.
Particularly when you're very tired and have no money and think you're going to cry. I actually did that twice on a day, which was, and then because I panicked so much, I rebooked in a rush. I rebooked the second one wrong, and I cried at the desk when I got a very unhelpful person, and it was all a wee bit much for me. But I was just thinking of weird tour stories. I remember doing a tour for I think it was my second album, and we were sharing rooms overnight, and I was sharing a room with my brother, and we went into the bedroom, and it had 2 single beds that were facing each other, which seems slightly odd, but we were like, we'll work this through. But in the middle of the room, there was a shower cubicle. So it was a carpeted room with a see-through, like a see-through square TARDIS shower cubicle, and that was our shower.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It was wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's better or worse when you're sharing it with a sibling, but yeah. Awkward.
How do you follow that, Grant?
Yeah, that's pretty grim. I mean, accommodation-wise, you do end up in some interesting places.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Me and Ainsley Hamill, who also sings on the album, we were staying in a kind of youth hostel out in New Hampshire. We were travelling out with this university project called Atlantic Seaway that brought together musicians from America and Scotland. But this hostel was called Penguin Lodge. Shout out to Penguin Lodge.
Sounds cool.
There was like stuffed penguins.
Like
not real ones,
like
sorry, but like like toy penguins. That would have been worse. But just like little cuddly like stuffed toys, but like all over the walls, and like they'd obviously been there for a many number of years. So the place had a real horror movie like vibe to it, where you were greeted with all these like penguin toys, and just generally it was quite, it was like 20 to a bathroom. It was quite grim. So you definitely, with those experiences, you then really appreciate when you end up somewhere really nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a kind of disaster it got me thinking of was not on tour, but I was playing a Ceilidh, I think last year. There's an island at Loch Lomond with like a venue on it. I can't remember what the island's called. But there's a venue on it, there's a hotel, and I think, a handful of people stay there.
You're giggling already.
You know where this is going. So we arrive in good time and get everything onto the boat, and it's an okay sized boat, but it is just a little boat that can maybe take
Is it
10.
a paddle boat or?
No, it's got a motor in it, but there's like, it can take over 10 or 15 people at a time, so it has to do a few trips for the folk going to the wedding. But we get our PA on, and it gets over fine. But on the other side, I kind of wandered up to find a trolley or something to get us up from the dock. And in the time it took me to go up and do that, one of the guys from the boat had dropped our mixing desk into the water over the side of the dock, whatever it is, the walkway. So I mean, that was a great start to the night. We managed to dry it out in the kind of the bit in the kitchen where they keep all the food warm. It wasn't the oven, but it was like the hot plate or something. And because there's not salt water, it actually survived.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was dripping. It was really ringing, when we got it out. But yeah, you kind of have to think on your feet in those situations and get through those.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, anything memorable from a gig that we've done together?
Ooh.
Grant, I remember a time that we went to the Netherlands with Live Music Now Scotland. I just remember that being a really nice experience. We stayed in this outhouse type thing in somebody else's house, and they had a big pool outside and stuff.
We did.
We went in the depths of winter, so we couldn't use the pool. But that was a great trip. And I remember one of the Live Music Now groups from over there performing with us in a gig. It was like a vocal harmony group. I think it was just 4 guys. Yeah.
And they sang Loch Lomond.
Yeah.
They'd learned it for us, and I'm sure we'd learned a couple of
We learned a
Dutch pieces.
A Dutch tune.
Yeah. But hearing them singing this arrangement of Loch Lomond was gorgeous.
It was,
I really remember that. That was
really
amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you want good or bad memories?
Oh,
I know that was quite a good one you gave for us. I'm sure there's.
There'll be some nightmares, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I just can't think what they are.
I know. I was saying, do you want a nightmare that has to be then admitted on camera?
Ah, sure, it'll be fine.
There was a time that Ron and I did a gig in Ireland,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yes.
and it was the gig itself was lovely. It was really
in a
nice.
gorgeous church.
Gorgeous church, and people were lovely, and it seemed to go over really, really
What was it
well.
for again?
It was for a wee
The flat?
festival. Yeah, kind of linked to the flat
That's
type
right.
thing. And that was fine. It had all been organised. Our problem came when we got to the accommodation at
Classic.
night, and we were staying in somebody's house, which was very kind that they put us up. However, when we arrived, there was only one room, and in it was also only one bed. So Ronald and I had to bunk in together for the night.
Yeah.
And I had to do that thing when I was in somebody else's house, and I like snuck around the house being like, are there any other beds? And there were not. And we'd already put, I think, somebody out of their bed to
think
be
so.
in that. And it was just kind of like, well, this is happening.
Well,
Yeah, no, we actually have that exact same story. That
Same
happened.
you!
in
It's
the-
you!
in Holland, yeah.
I was feeling bad about it. He's the
God,
common
yeah.
denominator.
Did I
Yeah.
have it to that trip too?
Yeah, there was only one
There's
bed.
only one
so-
bed, yeah.
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 Forgot.
He barricaded a pillow right down the middle just to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
Yeah, things haven't been the same since. Anyway.
Yeah. That's why we're all very good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. To forget about that one. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay, what do you like to do in your spare time when you're not doing music?
My hobbies are all Gaelic or music related. Eating, I mean, I don't know, does that count as a hobby?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I do like to, I am.
Anywhere particular you've been to recently that you would recommend?
Well,
that
I
we should all check out?
absolutely rinsed the eat out and save
Diet
or
to
whatever.
help.
Eat
the,
out to help out,
That's
yeah.
it. Where I went everywhere, and Glasgow does have such good restaurants.
Mhm.
I was there; it was ridiculous. There was one week where I was somewhere different every single day. So I definitely enjoy anywhere. There's nowhere specifically I'd be like, oh, that's my favourite, because if good food, I'll go anywhere.
Yeah.
But I am definitely that kind of sad person, whereas my hobbies are all linked to eating or music or Gaelic. So, which in some ways is actually really lovely.
Yeah.
Because, you know, your job doesn't feel like work when you're also doing it for fun.
course.
So apart from that, I am struggling to think what else I do.
Grant?
Yeah, similarly, you know, I spend a lot of my time working on kind of music projects that are also a kind of passion, and, you know, the lines get blurred in between those things, you know, often.
Yeah.
My partner's wee boy is 7 years old and has reintroduced gaming into my life, so I
You
feel
did
like
enjoy gaming for a
yeah.
while. I remember at uni you were quite into
yeah, and
gaming.
yeah, now I can spend just hours and hours getting lost on the PlayStation, and it's a joy. Like, do you know, I feel like a teenager again. So
Nice.
it's good in that way, but the hours you could lose to that stuff, you know, is...
I spent a lot of hours in lockdown playing FIFA.
Mhm.
A lot. I can quite believe.
We have the
I did
hours just
not.
now.
I think though, I was just thinking there as you were saying that, for me growing up, I always felt like I was really lucky that I was given opportunities to perform, whether it was like at the old folks home or the Snark Gaelies or Phage concerts. And I think that's probably why, particularly for me, that it is important that, you know, in your spare time you are giving back in that way, whether it's being, you know, a committee member for the
Yeah.
Phage or helping out with Gaelies, or like I sing at a lot of Gaelies, and you do that purely, you know, for nothing, because that's how I started. And, you know, I didn't come from a Gaelic family. It wasn't... Some people have grown up by having all these opportunities, getting invited to everything. I didn't.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the folk that took the time to, you know, teach me Gaelic songs, or go, would you like to come and sing here? Could you do something for that? So I always think it's really important, although sometimes I'm like, why am I on my own 74 committees? It is really, really
you
important.
do love a committee.
Oh, but you know what I mean? I think you have to sometimes just give back in that way, because I definitely had people that were so generous with their time and their experience and just their understanding. So that, yes, it's blurring of lines in some ways, but I think it's an important one that you do have that.
Yeah, of course. Going back to food,
Yes.
this is another key question. Pizza or burger?
Pizza.
Okay. What's on your pizza?
So, I am a fan of sweet and savoury together. So
Okay.
I like pineapple on my pizza.
Oh.
Yeah, I like sweet corn on my pizza. So something like, yeah,
You're the
maybe like
second person to say sweet
love
corn on
it.
their pizza. which
so
I
maybe
find
like a
bit
wee
odd.
barbecue sauce,
Oh.
some chicken, sweet corn, pineapple,
Wow.
something like
That's
that.
a lot of flavours going
Thank
on.
you.
Wow.
I had a calzone the other night. For the
Oh,
first time in
yeah.
a long time. That was really delicious.
Yeah.
Pizza or burger. Pizza, but it depends what day of the week it
It
is.
does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But pizza.
Beef burger
probably
or chicken burger? If you were at
beef.
Beef, yeah.
Chicken.
Chicken, right?
Yeah.
Cheese and bacon or
Yeah.
just plain?
Yeah,
or
just everything.
just everything.
Yeah.
What would you have in your pizza?
Yeah, pineapple,
Thank you.
Yeah.
pepperoni.
Yeah, I do like a
Yeah.
pepperoni.
Me too.
Just a kind of classic
Yeah.
pepperoni pizza is quite good for me.
Do you know what I had recently was well, if we're going to talk food, it was like a kind of Indonesian style pizza, and
Alright.
the base was kind of like more nearly like a naan, but it was sweet, so it had like
Oh.
mango chutney kind of
Oh,
that had
gorgeous.
gone into it. And
Oh, hello.
Oh yeah, so like a kind of korma, mango chutney, some
Mhm.
chicken, some sweet pepper.
brilliant.
Oh,
wow.
so good.
That sounds lovely.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
I ate
Really
everything.
nice.
So if we were to come round to your house for dinner, what would you cook for dinner? Grant,
Well,
take away.
Just last night, I made a nice Cajun chicken pasta.
Hmm?
Oh, lovely.
It's an old staple from like my uni days, and I actually hadn't made it in a long, long time. But it's like so bad for you, but so delicious. Like there's
that's
loads of
nice.
cream and cheese, and yeah, just lots of goodness in it. That's not so good for you, but delicious.
But delicious. Nice.
So Cajun chicken pasta, maybe
Cajun
with like a
chicken pasta.
flatbread
Oh.
with like, don't know, some caramelized onions on it.
Oh yes.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Joy?
So, people do not realise that I am an exceptionally good eater. It is one of my hidden skills. I do like cooking less than I like eating, but you know the two do go hand in hand. So yesterday I made lasagna.
Oh, yes.
I love
a
a good
lasagna.
lasagna.
Yeah.
So for me, you'd either get lasagna
Mm.
or maybe enchiladas.
Oh,
I like an
yeah.
enchilada as well.
Yep,
I mean,
nice.
I am a comfort food person. It's like
Yes.
there has to be a lot of carbohydrates in there,
Yep.
lots of sauce, lots of, you know, meat. Yes and no. I can go either way, but
Mhm.
yeah, the kind of like solid
Classics.
staple classics. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way I go.
Nice. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
good. I'd probably make some sort of curry type situation. My mum's got like a kind of homemade, kind of not too spicy kind of curry thing that I quite often make for people. It's good.
Question though,
Yeah.
what kind of naan do you go for?
Garlic for me.
Oh,
Peshwari.
Peshwari all the
Yeah,
way.
Really, aye.
Yes,
Mm,
sweet and savoury.
Or
sweet,
both. I
savoury.
mean,
Yeah.
it's not,
Or
it's
both.
not neither
Yeah,
or.
I mean,
yeah.
I could be into both, I think.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I probably wouldn't go plain naan. It's just a bit.
But yeah, if you have to.
I mean,
but
Yeah.
if that's all they have in the shop, then you know that's fine. But yeah. What record or album are you listening to at the minute, kind of non-stop, that you think people should check out?
I actually have found that I haven't been listening to music as much through lockdown.
Okay.
And in some ways it was like really good for the soul to listen to it, and then it really made me miss not being able to do any performing stuff, and it was quite hard sometimes
Yeah.
to listen to music. So actually I haven't had one album that I've been like obsessing over as much, and I haven't been driving, as I was saying earlier. Like
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of my music, and I listen on repeat. I'm that person who has one album and listens and listens and listens to really get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, there's nothing really that I've like one album that I've been listening to. I've had a lot of
Soon
have
you will,
been-
though, so it's okay.
I have been
Sorry.
nicely done,
Yeah.
going quite diving back into 90s pop again,
Oh,
just purely for that kind of cheering
Like
you
a bit
up.
of Shania, or
Yeah, I like old school Christina Aguilera.
oh yes,
And like Usher
Genie in
from
a
the
Bottle.
90s.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I also in my head think I can rap, and I don't know where this has come from. And I've been going back to a lot of the old ones because I realise I know a lot of the words
Yeah.
from, like, I used to have one Now CD
Mhm.
for the year.
yeah.
And if you're really lucky, you maybe got one on your birthday and your Christmas. You might have two. But like I listen to these songs on repeat.
Yeah.
So I can tell you every single word of every single song, and it has been interesting listening back, and I was like, I can do you like all of the words. I could do all of the raps.
Amazing.
Now I understand the words a bit more. I should never be saying. But actually, sometimes there was one night when I just felt rubbish. I was like, do you know what? And it was like my own wee sort of hall party where I had the music on, I had the videos on, I was dancing, I was singing, and it's really good for the soul. So yeah, Cheesy Pop Band has been getting me through it.
Yeah. So I've been listening to a lot of Lady Gaga. She's had a new album out. I've not really got a traditional offering for you, but
that's good though.
her
I
new
think
album.
it's important to have, you know, a broad range of kind of diverse music to kind of listen to.
Yeah, so I've been listening. That's a full album that I've really kind of sunk my teeth into, and that same kind of thing. I don't know if the trad thing is a bit real at the moment. Do you know, when I hear it, I'm just sad because we're not doing it, and you know, not always. You know, there's bits and bobs I have been listening to, but yeah, that's a total escape, you know, from that kind of way of things. A lot of podcasts as well, and when I've been trying to do some exercise and get out, and because I think even that with now when you're not able to get out and go to the different venues and gigs and stuff, you know, you're kind of stuck in the house a little bit more, and you need to get out and get some fresh air in to make sure you're kind of just staying sane. So a lot of podcasts, a lot of listening to just kind of different things.
I've been loving the latest Dua Lipa album.
Nice.
Have you listened to it? It's very good.
No,
it's very, very
I think I was meant to see her in September, and then it got rescheduled to this January coming, but I don't even.
So maybe you should
January
listen
seems
to that
ambitious.
album, because that might make you sad that you can't go to see
I was
her.
supposed to see Celine Dion in
Oh my
concert.
God, same.
Yeah,
and
that was
Yeah.
that was
Did you not
cancelled.
buy 5 tickets for that at one point or something? By mistake.
Not that one, I don't think. No.
You did.
No, I think that was Cher.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think I'd bought the cheap tickets and then thought, this is once in a lifetime, I'll buy the expensive tickets that Joy had also bought. So
dropped however much money a day.
But it's okay, I sold them, like I'm not.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, that's
I don't have the money to spend. So.
On a similar note, who's the most famous person you think you've ever met?
Ooh.
I bumped into, I didn't meet her, but I was in the Grand Central Hotel, and what's her name? Peggy from EastEnders.
Oh, but Barbara Windsor.
Barbara Windsor. She was walking down,
really?
and she bumped into me, like just by accident. She kind of wasn't watching whatever else, and I was maybe too close. It wouldn't happen now, obviously, with social distancing, but she literally bumped into me, and she was like, "Oh, so sorry." And for this moment, our eyes connected, and I was like, "You're just fabulous." She was just brilliant. But that doesn't really count. I didn't really meet her, you know. I literally bumped into her.
Wow, that's a good one, though.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of performances, I performed. I think I saw a video of you doing one for Prince Charles.
Yeah.
At the mod.
Yeah.
So similar, I was playing at an event at Dumfries House down
I did one of them. Yeah.
near Cumnock, and is he the
Patron
patron of
I
that?
think, maybe,
Yeah.
of
So
Dumfries House,
he was there, and there was loads of different performers. Emily Smith was there. Sandy Brecon was there.
Yeah.
Karen Matheson was maybe there. There was various folk who were the actual performers. We were there as kind of RCS students, as like background music, if you like, you know, as folk arriving, different things. But I think Emily invited us up onto stage for the finale kind of piece. I can't even remember what we were singing, but he came up and did a song with us. So he was singing, and we were all kind of there performing. So that was pretty cool. That was kind of memorable. I think he's probably the most famous person I've met.
It's good. Joy?
The year I won the gold medal at the mod, I got invited to Buckingham Palace to a reception for youth in the arts.
Right.
And I thought the only probably Galaxy trad person that would be there, although amazingly, the first person I pretty much saw when I arrived at the castle was Stuart Liddell, the piper from Inveraray. I was like, Argyle is in the house! But we were clearly the only people that were doing trad stuff, because everybody else was actually famous. So it was obviously you met the Queen, you met Prince Charles. I've met them a couple of times. But thank you, Gaelic. Gaelic will get you everywhere. But it was full of actually famous people. So I remember there was like Ellie Goulding and Tiny Temper and Michael McIntyre and...
Did you get photos with them all?
Well, we weren't allowed to take pictures. And it was really, I remember seeing that you weren't really supposed to have your phones out, because obviously it was this, and I remember seeing Michael McIntyre trying to get Ellie Goulding's phone number by doing it by hiding in his jacket. We're like, well, we can all see you, and you're making it look way more obvious.
Why didn't you just write it down a bit of paper?
Or like his phone was there. It was just very weirdly done. But that was actually like really famous people. And obviously there was a lot of different types of arts there, and us two, we were like, well, I sing in the mod. But weirdly,
did you get to do a duet with Ellie Goulding?
Well, obviously, clearly that was the pairing of the night.
Wow.
But it was kind of really odd because you get the bit where you get to go see the Queen and you know, just sort of do your curtsy and speak to all of them, and it's very bizarre when you're in that situation and they're asking you, you know, what do you do? And you're like, well, I'm a Gaelic singer. But they love Scotland.
Yeah.
So actually there is a genuine link there. But I did feel like a bit of a fraud. I've had loads of these weird experiences where it's me and very famous people and you're like, so what do you, they're talking about, I remember being at a dinner when I was beside Wait Wait Wait's manager and somebody, I think we worked maybe with Deacon Blue, and they were talking about booking the Hydro and, you know, doing all these massive venues, and they went, and where do you perform? and I panicked because I didn't know what to say, and I was like, well, I'm very big on the Village Hall circuit. And no one laughed. It was just like the tumbleweed was going. I thought, I'm going to die here.
Oh, no.
But it's interesting actually, and I also think that I felt that I was really kind of inferior to them, and actually probably shouldn't be like that, because if you've been invited there, somebody's seeing worth in what you're doing. But it did feel a bit sort of like sublime to ridiculous moment. There's been a couple of those ones.
Anyone through the Eurovision or anything was, what's his name there doing the
Well, Dick
presenting?
Shannon was one of the judges. He did all the vocals for Pitch Perfect. He did all the arrangements and worked in the acapella. He's like the king of acapella, and he did a very nice video about Scotland, the choir, and because we all had to kind of stand up and do our like wee party piece on the first night, and I took that moment, obviously, to have a wee chat to the audience and just say thank you. We're really excited to be here. Please come and talk to us because we're really excited. And he just seemed to like that because he was like, that's what this is about. It's about making friends. So he did I have a lovely wee like 1.5 minute video of him talking about how, you know, everybody was great, but Scotland, you know, especially stood out to him, and I was like, that's really nice. So if you like Eurovision, you know, we got to meet all the kind of stars of Jon Olasan from Eurovision, who it was just really special because I went to Eurovision itself as in like preparation for this, and that was amazing when you got to see like all the actual stars.
Graham Norton.
Graham Norton was there. What's his name that does Radio 1? I interviewed him.
Greg James?
No, Scott Mills. Yeah, who was lovely, and that was really nice. Actually, we got to do a lot of kind of. It does feel. It's like it reminded me of the Gaelic world in a lot of ways. It's very small, and everybody knows each other. Folk are really supportive of each other, and you kind of have that slightly left field thing that you love, whether it's a minority language or Eurovision or traditional music, and because you have that shared thing in common, it doesn't matter who you are. But yeah, Eurovision, I was the stalker. I was like running with my camera taking 400 pictures of whoever I could see.
Amazing. Grant, you strike me as the kind of person that would also love that.
Oh, completely. Yeah, I think I actually asked Joy to join the choir when she was pulling it together. My lack of vocal ability and Gaelic makes that
small
tricky,
parts.
but I am learning Gaelic now, so we'll get there.
Future
we'll
Eurovision choir contest, watch out, Grant McFarlane. Accordion solo.
Watch this space. Yep.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, do you both have a favourite track from my album that is coming out?
Well,
Grant, you've played on 2 tracks, 3 tracks?
That's the only tracks I know, though.
Yeah? Well, do you have a favourite out of those 2? That's fine.
Well, the 2 tracks I play on are both quite different.
Very different,
Very different. And I guess the set of reels, I don't know, the Northeast set, is quite indicative of what me and you probably do quite a lot in terms of our performances, kind of high energy tunes and harmonies and different things. So that was fun to do and to arrange with Mary that plays on the track, and to have Joy dancing on it as well. It's a great kind of mishmash of the whole thing. It's really, I totally love the sound of it. So I'm looking forward to hearing the final version of that. And then the other one is something we don't do as much of, which is kind of more atmospheric and kind of vibey. And I'm excited for people to hear both of them because they're both quite different.
So I obviously have heard bits of the Northeast set that I was dancing over, which I loved, not just because I was on it, but actually I also got a wee sneaky preview of the Or and Luai, the walking song that you're...
The walking song. I
with
tried to pronounce it the other day, but probably did it wrong, so I'm not going to try again.
That
was close.
Yeah, that you've done with Ainsley Hamill, and it sounds amazing. I absolutely loved it. So I'm really excited to hear like the finished version because it wasn't quite there when I heard it. So it sounded fab.
It's good. So, that concludes the interview. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes. Album will be released very soon. Look out for it.
Make sure you buy it. It's a fab.
Bye.